And so in light of abortion being in the news cycle again, Republicans, why are you doing this now? Why? A while ago, I heard Ben Shapiro said U.S. politics is a bunch of morons running around like chickens with their heads cut off directly into walls until they knock themselves unconscious and then they tax you. So, Republicans, you have the worst Democratic Party probably ever, completely demoralized. Absolutely nothing about them is objectively correct on anything. And the one thing that will give those dopes a lifeline to spark up their beaten, bruised, and battered base, you idiots go into the political graveyard and dig up. Leave it to the Republicans who have a silver platter of we are right about everything, a Democratic Party extinction dish served to them, and still find some reason to kick it. Here is my take on the two parties. The Democrats are psychotically clumsy, and the Republicans are pathetically spineless strategists. Personify those two attitudes. For the Dems, you'll have a drunken moron come into your house with a bat and a booze-fueled rage and smash your place to smithereens and then tax you for the mess they just made. And the Republicans will have a shotgun at a point-blank range target and still somehow manage to miss the mark. This is why so many people like Republicanism but abhor the Republican Party, because they're idiots. By the way, I agree abortion should be left to the individual states to decide, but we're dealing with sparky leftoids here, not exactly geniuses who understand what the hell is even going on. Hell, we're lucky these people don't lick the like icon on their phones for sustenance, for heaven's sakes. While I am uber right, because I'm sane on virtually every issue, this is the one argument where I think there is still some middle ground despite the polarization. Because frankly, I don't think the pro-choice argument is really even around much these days. It seems to be pro-abortion and pro-life. Pro-choice is somewhere in the middle, in the ether, asking itself, am I still part of this conversation, or what's going on? I'm Irandian on abortion, by the way. I do not buy the conception at life argument, and the idea that the potential life should take priority over the life of the female already in existence, whose life will be permanently altered should the child be born, and the state can dictate that? No, I agree with Ayn Rand, that's an absurdity to me. Can make a strong moral case after you can detect the pulse and capacity to feel pain, but before that, no. And the conservative argument of all life is precious, but if you get pregnant and you don't want to keep the child, their response is, you have to live with the consequences of your actions. Yeah, conservatives, now the all life is precious argument has morphed into weaponizing the child as a punishment, some sort of karmic vengeance. I've never been a fan of that rhetoric myself. I actually think that's an immoral retort. So with all of that being said, I'd like to present a conservative or maybe libertarian-style argument for pro-choice across three areas: fiscally, culturally, and politically. By the way, if you're a pro-lifer, you're not going to like my arguments. They're basically pure pragmatism. I can hear Aiden going, but my NAP, dude. Sorry, Aiden. So let's use the Thomas Sowell approach. There's no such thing as solutions. What you have are trade-offs. Best example, look at the black community. One of the main issues of contention with them for conservatives is the high rate of single motherhood, over 70% the last time I checked. If you were to remove abortion services, you are going to further exacerbate this issue in the short run. Short being a very subjective key phrase here. I remember reading, I think it was Thomas Sowell's Vision of the Anointed, how back in the day, if you were a teenager and you were pregnant, you were seen as a disgrace to the family. You brought shame on the family name, and you were sent away for that. And that poor behavior was accelerated by the sexual revolution of the 60s and then further subsidized by the Great Society programs of LBJ, state-dependent motherhood and all. That shame factor is long gone. Now that recklessly irresponsible behavior has been made into TV shows, for heaven's sake, because for some bizarre reason, Western society rewards moral degeneracy. It's disgusting. So there's a political incentive you have to take down a peg if you want to put a plug into that kind of culture. A political issue to stem a cultural tide that's been going on for what, half a century? Gutting welfare and getting blacks to engage in sexually responsible behavior? Good luck with that. I'm not saying that isn't the right way to go, but in this political climate, talk about a damn hard sell. I'm not suggesting other demographics don't engage in this behavior as well. They do, but it is by far more prevalent in that community than any of the other ones. Again, blame LBJ. The libertarian argument, which in my opinion is the most sensible one going forward, is to stop subsidizing abortions via the state, make it a pay-as-you-go kind of deal, pardon the crassness. That is your best bet going forward. You can't outlaw the practice, it just makes it unsafe. Back alley abortions, we all know the talking points by now. And lastly, and this is probably my crudest argument, but look at abortion. The choice to use abortion is overwhelmingly a question of morals across the political spectrum. Conservative women do not favor it, while liberal women do favor it. And just in the interest of, well, for lack of a better phrase, brutal pragmatism, do you really want your political rivals producing offspring? I'm not saying they can't turn conservative at some point, that would be an idiotic statement for me to make, But look at what the kids have to deal with these days. You really want to put children in the hands of liberal parents with this hell-bent on centralizing everything state? Oof, rough time to be a kid, but hey, maybe that's just me. So Republicans, focus on literally any other issue other than this one. And stop trying to hang yourselves with the plethora of rope given to you by a party that is hell-bent on complete political suicide. Fire all of your strategists. They suck. All you have to do is shut the hell up, obstruct, and watch the Democrats set themselves on fire. Their policies suck, their polls are in the tank, their higher-ups are incompetent and ancient, and they're retiring and their unity is in complete disarray. Your job literally couldn't be any easier. And that's all for today. Until next time.